In today's episode, Chef Kendra will show us how to make her delicious kosher Israeli stuffed eggplant with ground lamb using Prairie Street Prime's Lamb Premium Ground Blend.
The eggplant is just so creamy and smooth, and that lamb, so fragrant. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. Welcome to the Prairie Street Prime Culinary Kitchen. I'm your chef, Chef Kendra, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorites. It is our kosher Israeli stuffed eggplant with ground lamb. What is the Israeli part? It's this amazing spice blend that you would totally smell while you're in the markets of Jerusalem. So, without further ado, let me get started. I have these beautiful smaller eggplant that are called Italian eggplant or Sicilian eggplant, just cut in half, and what you'll notice is that I actually scored them. I just gently took my knife and ran down. That's gonna help to release the steam while they're in the roasting process. So these guys are gonna roast first with some kosher extra virgin olive oil. I'm just gonna give them a good coating, coarse kosher salt, and some ground black pepper. Good, I'm gonna give them a quick little rub down. Just wanna make sure that they're fully coated with the olive oil and the seasonings. So these are gonna roast in a 425-degree oven for about 20-ish minutes or so. Great, okay, so let's just talk really quickly about this ground lamb. You've seen me cook with this many a time, and you know that it's one of my favorite products that we have at Prairie Street Prime. It is our premium ground lamb that actually comes from the shoulder of the lamb. So it's filled with this beautiful marbling, this lovely fat, and it's just this really luscious, rich, earthy, luxurious meat. So before we get into that, let's mix up some of this Jerusalem-esque market spice blend. So two ingredients that you will always find in Israeli cooking or two special ingredients, I should say, are sumac and cardamom, quintessential Israeli. So they're gonna actually be the base for our spice blend. So I'm just gonna add those two in first. Sumac actually comes from a berry, and it has this really beautiful rich color to it, but also this sweet / bright citrusiness to it. It's really fabulous. The other one is cardamom. It's just a little je ne sais quoi all the time. Put those two together. Then I have some cinnamon, turmeric. These colors are impeccable. Ground clove, just a little bit. Clove goes a long way, so you don't want to go too crazy with it. Red chili pepper, paprika, coriander, and curry. Give it a quick little mix. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. All right. Fabulous. Let's go over to the stove. All right, so let's get this lamb going, shall we? Some beautiful kosher extra virgin olive oil. Make sure that when you're making this stuffing, you're using a heavy bottom skillet over a medium to high heat. You really want to let that work the heat out, okay? Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is sweat out these onions. So I have some nice, just one medium-ish onion. Okay. Adding in the onions is actually gonna bring down the temperature of the pan, but since it was really hot, I just wanna give it a moment. That way I'm not frying the onions, I'm slowly cooking them. Okay, now at this point I am actually, right here in the beginning, I am gonna add in some of those spices, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna actually toast in this extra virgin olive oil, and then basically like doubling their fragrance. So I'm gonna take a nice heaping tablespoon and coat that. Oh, it's immediately fragrant. Get everything coated. And you'll notice that this will actually dry out the pan fairly quickly. I'm gonna reduce the heat of this just a little bit to let more of the moisture come out and just kind of settle. That way, again, we're not frying the onions, we're just letting them become translucent and sweat out. Okay, so I've had the flame on the stovetop reduced down for me, and you can actually see that the moisture is starting to come out and just settle within the pan. Y'all, it smells amazing in here. These onions are cooked perfectly. I'm gonna add in some tomato paste. So I'm actually gonna just kind of smush this tomato paste down. I actually want it to toast a little bit because it's just gonna deepen the flavor. All right, I'm gonna push these out to the side. And I'm gonna get my lamb right in the center. I'm using a minced garlic because I really want this to just kind of melt throughout. So even though we're going to be going through a second cooking process, which is going to be the baking, I really want it to just kind of incorporate and become really silky, like a nice silky fragrance throughout the ground lamb. So we'll just add that to the onions, mix it around in there. Everything's gonna get incorporated shortly. Now, I'm just gonna use my spoon, break up the lamb. Now, one of the reasons why I wanna get this really spread out into the pan is because, again, it has all that amazing marbling and fat throughout it. And I really want to give it some real estate so that way the fat can just melt out and start to marry and mingle with the spices. Now you can start incorporating with those onions and the tomato paste. It's a really good arm workout too, so. I'm gonna add some water, about maybe like 1/4 cup to start. It's gonna help the sauce to form. Again, still really breaking up this ground lamb. That water is really just evaporating off, but it's cooking it perfectly. I don't want it to evaporate off too much, so I'm actually just gonna add a little bit more in. And what that's doing is, as we add water in and then the evaporation process, it helps to condense those flavors so that way it becomes richer as the cooking process goes on. So I really want to make sure that the lamb is cooked all the way through, and I also don't want to rush it. This is one of those dishes that, while it's actually very easy, it does take a little bit more time, but it's a labor of love, and you don't want to just, you know, zip past through some of these steps because they really do make a difference. This sauce is becoming perfect. I'm gonna add a little bit more water one last time. So it's like 3 times the water. But again, every stovetop is different. Every cook is different. I wanna be on like a medium-ish heat. So I'm going about 1/4 cup of water each time, 3 times. But this is where cooking becomes one of those, you're using all of your senses and you just gotta be in it and be on top of it and meditate on it. Be in the moment with your Israeli ground lamb. Perfect. Okay, as that cooks, I'm going to add in 2 more little things. So if you notice, I actually didn't over salt this too much. I'm gonna salt now. Okay, coarse kosher salt. And a little secret ingredient, pomegranate molasses. It's gonna add a nice sweetness that's just gonna kind of complement that sumac really, really nicely. Final mix. We'll let that do its thing. Let me check on these eggplant. Oh yeah, baby, we're good. So I'm gonna take these out. Oh my God, they're perfect. All right. Let's get ready to stuff. All right, so our eggplant came out of a 425-degree oven. They were in there for about like 20-25 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually gonna just turn them so that way they're all facing in the same direction. Give them a little squish together. It's just gonna help me for when I'm stuffing them. All right, also I wanna just give them a little squeeze and a little separation. That way the meat and the sauce really gets down into that flesh. Okay, perfect. Let me get my lamb, baby. Okay. See how nice and thick the sauce became? Spoon it right in. Now, I've been taking my time with this, so I'm just gonna really make sure it gets pushed down into the flesh of the eggplant before I get all Kendra style and just go willy-nilly with it. Now that each piece has an equal amount, now I can go crazy Kendra style. Just pour it on over top. Gorgeous. All right, I'm gonna cover this up tightly with some aluminum foil. Now I'm gonna get this into a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. See you back here in a bit. All right, it's time to try our Israeli stuffed eggplant, also known as Israeli chatzil. I always love the reveal. The reveal is like part of the fun for me, at least. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my God, and those spices. This is fantastic. All right, I just have some nice fluffy arugula. Let's get that chatzil on it. Beautiful. Also have some fresh, finely chopped herbs, very Israeli. We have some dill, lots of dill, and parsley, just to brighten things up a little bit. I mean, come on. First of all, that is a beautiful looking dish. I would serve that at any dinner party. And Prairie Street Prime just came out with this new ground beef, ground lamb, ground veal line that is simply to die for. Start out with the best products, add some really brilliant cooking methods to it, and you can end up with something like this. Let's dig in. Fork tender, oh my gosh. The eggplant is just so creamy and smooth, and that lamb, so fragrant, oh my gosh. My job here is done, folks. Here's the thing. You saw all those spices that went into this. You can taste them lightly, deftly, perfectly, because that rich, earthy, meaty, fatty lamb just cuts right into them and sprawls it all out onto your palate. It is amazing. I really hope that you give this recipe a try. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know if you use a different spice blend. I would love to hear about that. Check everything out. Go on to prairiestreetprime.com, get your ground lamb, and then we'll see you next week back here, 2 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. I'm gonna dig in for some more.
Subscribe to our channel now and set your notifications so you don't miss our latest recipes and chef-led tutorials. Then head over to prairiestreetprime.com to shop for your next big meal.